if you're waiting for the day to start something that you've always wanted to do, if you're waiting for the day when you wake up and you're like, I got this, pack it in. It doesn't go like that. You move forward, you put out what you think you want in the universe, you look around for those who join you, and you move forward a little bit every day, and you're scared the whole time.
All the time.
So the whole time. So I don't know, are we motivating people right now?
Thank you for waking up with happiness, when we come together to grow in mind, body, and spirit, so we can in turn go out and make the world a brighter and sweeter place to live for ourselves and for others. Well, y'all, I'm super excited because in my adorable Mad Men style podcast studio today, I have one of my dear friends, Kevin Elliott. But let me tell you who Kevin Elliott is. Kevin Elliott is the co-owner of Wewa Films and the co-founder of Redfish Film Festival, and there's also
Redfish Foundation.
Film Foundation. What I want to talk about, but the first thing I have to do though, I've got to thank one of my sponsors, because for the longest time I did not have sponsors, and Beachy Beach Real Estate, which is the most precious real estate company, it's precious
in the world.
My partners believe in this and what I'm doing, and they agreed to sponsor my podcast.
Stuff costs money.
I am so thankful.
I do a film festival. You don't have to apologize.
Oh,
No.
You know about that.
Beachy Beach was a sponsor.
So I know they were. So they're so sweet to sponsor this too. So thank you, Beachy Beach, for making this happen. And I'm so excited about talking to Kevin today about some of the things he's been doing and kind of how we met up and stuff like that. And what I love meeting people in my life that can bring out the best in me. And that's kind of what we're all here for anyway, I think. And you did that for me, Kevin. You came to my company. I think I met you when you were working at, what's that?
I was working for Jack Carey.
Delightful people.
Smartest marketer I ever met, yeah.
You know what's so cool about that? When you meet nice people introduce you to other nice people.
Absolutely.
Bam.
100%. As a matter of fact, I learned this from Jack Carrigan. He used to always say, most of success in life is raising your hand and saying, yes, I'll do that.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that stuck with me, because it's one, and you and I have lived that out. We've lived that out. Hey, you and I met like 10 years ago. We were babes in the woods.
Yeah.
You had recently started Beachy Beach.
Because I started Beachy Beach in 2010.
Yeah.
And when I started Beachy Beach, not too long after that, you came and spoke to us.
Yeah.
And what it was is every time you spoke somewhere, I was just mesmerized. I love hearing you speak.
Well, thank you.
You just have a very natural way of speaking, of drawing people in. And it's always just very engaging. And it's energetic without being over energetic. Like I can sometimes be over energetic, but you're
no. Stop it.
But you did a great job. And I remember, sometimes you don't know who you are until someone comes out and brings out who you are. And you did that in our company. You kind of pegged us as a love company. Remember that?
I remember that very clearly. I didn't know it had affected you that way.
So much.
Yeah.
So.
One of my passions in life is sort of branding and marketing and positioning businesses. And it's a thread through all of my own businesses, but others I work for. And so when I encounter a new business or I encounter a group of people, that part of my brain starts to kick in, and I go, if I were hired to position this company in a marketplace, how would I do that? And there are a lot of real estate companies out there, of course, but there were none like Beachy Beach. And I remember when you and I first met was like at an idea camp.
Yeah.
And I remember, I told you this, I remember walking into that restaurant, and there was this tribe of people dressed in blue, carrying bags full of swag, putting them on the tables, and there was this energy around you, and I went, who are those people? And then I realized it was, of course, you all. I came to your place, and the whole place was like that. All the agents are like that. And I said, it hit me. I said, in the real estate market, there are lots of people who are, high dollar salespeople. There are luxury people. There are military, all this stuff. But there's nobody who could be defined by love. We will love you through the real estate process. It's a hard thing, and it's scary to buy a house. We are here to love you through that. And I went, anyway. So I must have said something like that.
So you came to my office, you spoke, and I was really speaking lately, just recently, I spoke to Jennifer and said, you know what, I need to have
Jennifer
Kevin come, Jennifer Bowman
Jennifer
in my
Bowman from
office
BCB. Yep,
to
yep,
ask
yep,
her to
yep.
please, that I wanted you to come speak to us again. Would you do that again?
Anytime.
Yeah, because I really
love doing that stuff.
You know, this is what's crazy about life. I don't know if you've experienced this. I can say something that's really pretty brilliant.
I mean,
And my people hear it, but they really don't hear it. You can come in and say the exact same thing, and they go, "Oh my God, did you hear what Kevin Elliott said?" I said, "Yeah, the thing that I've been saying a while." Yeah, so that
you could just give me your notes before I come. Like, what would you like me to say to the people?
it is. Sometimes it's you hear better from someone else.
That's not just a me thing. There is, so I've been a marketing consultant for a long time, and there is a phrase that says, "An expert is a person from out of town with a clipboard." Right? It's just by virtue. You know nothing about
Yeah.
that person. They could be an
Yeah.
idiot. They could be a total fraud.
Yeah.
But if they come from out of town, you're like, oh well, they
Yeah.
came from Atlanta. Did you know they came from Atlanta?
I know.
And so there's some effect of that where
Yeah.
it's like we don't listen to our parents.
Yeah.
But if somebody says exactly what mom and dad wanted, that we listen.
Yeah.
So that's just part of human nature. It's why. But I think that's also why it's good to bring, like you do. You bring
Yeah.
you're educated. You bring other people in.
Absolutely.
And try to build your people up.
Yeah. It's funny too because I know for me, I love this is something else I love about you that I wanted to talk about. And I think it's why I'm drawn to you is remember back in the day or when we were growing up, you always thought of people just doing one thing. You go work for IBM.
Start your job at 20 years
Yeah,
old. leave at
and you
65.
stay there so you can get the watch and you can retire and be secure.
Isn't
That
that
sounds
what
like
you do?
death to me.
Isn't that what you do?
That sounds like death. That sounds like death. Like death.
Me too.
Like my friends, like I'm 65 and I've done several things already. Right?
That's
Many
putting
things.
it lightly. Yeah.
And I'm so excited about this next phase of my
You
life.
still have a list.
Oh, I've got
Everybody should have a list.
I've got a huge list. So really, I'm gonna have to live till I'm at
137?
yes, at least 90. And I always said that God, and I'm going to renegotiate at that point. But I have a list. So you've done quite a few things. So would you tell me some of the things that you've done and how you got there from there to here? Because I think it's so important for understand that listen, wherever you are in your life, wherever you are, you can recreate your life to be the best version of yourself and a new version of yourself.
I do. Right.
I love it.
So I turned 50 years old on September 30th. I turned 50 years old. And so, by the time you're 50, you've been doing something for a few decades, right? I don't know, whatever it is. So I thought a lot. This has been on my mind. I've thought a lot about this because I come from a wonderful family, supportive, great parents, wonderful siblings. I have 3 siblings, but there's nobody in my family quite like me and you, like the ones who bounce and are restless and stuff like that. I've had to live through this. I didn't have any examples of what that was like. My mom is adopted, and so there's somebody on her side of the family that must be like this. I just haven't met that person. But it's a kind of person I had learned, because you're this kind of person, I'm this kind of person. We have a lot of mutual friends who are these kinds of people. There's a restlessness in our DNA. And there are days, I don't know about you, but there are days I wish it weren't there. I wish I could be the guy who did the thing and went to the job and then 4 decades later walked out with the pension, and we're not those people. And I used to feel bad about that, but at 50 years old, at 65 years old, I don't think you feel bad about that.
No.
I don't apologize for it. So when I stopped apologizing for that and started articulating it, saying, look, I am restless in my bones, which means there will always be something new that is going to come up that I want to do. It doesn't mean I trash everything behind it, but it means this is just who I am. And then watch what happens, and you will see the other people like that go, oh, I'm like that too. And my family doesn't quite understand, and they love me, but they don't get it. And my sister has been telling me, why don't I take this safe job? And it's not who we are. Okay, but that's okay, because there are people. You and I were. So my wife is this way. Your wonderful Hugh is this way. who are those stable, like just do the same thing every day. That's what they want to do.
Yes.
I admire those people. I wish I could be those
Me
people
too.
sometimes, but we're not, right? Okay, when I was 25 years old, bought my first business, and it was a childcare center. It was an after.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about
It was
that.
a childcare center. It was an after school center. I had never run a business or bought a business, but I knew I wanted to be in business. Just knew it. Did that for 5 years. We closed that because I didn't know how to run a business, and it just ended up falling apart.
And it was childcare.
It was childcare. I loved that, by the way. I loved it, but I just didn't know how to run a business. So but the funny thing is, so you and I have had these. This is part of being who we are, because we have these crash and burn moments in life.
I've had several.
I've had a few. So there's these. I'm so glad we're talking. That you understand where I'm coming from. So like we did that for 5 years, and I loved it, but I didn't know how to run a business. I was young and I had no experience, so it crashed and burned. Very public, very humiliating, very painful. Okay. Now most people, if they aren't like you and me, they would then go, okay, enough. I'm going to go find that corporate job. You know what I did? I started another business.
Of course.
Because that's what we do,
That
right?
seems absolutely normal today.
Makes total sense. I started a handyman and home renovation
I remember
business
you doing that.
because I was good with my hands. I like tools. I like to build things. My mom is an artist and a creative, and she's a maker, and so I was always a maker. And so I just had collected tools, and I started asking around, because this is another thing that you and I have in common is we may not be good at anything, but we can sell.
And we can
Right.
find the people who are
We can
good at what we're
find-
not good
and
at.
we can make that. We can build a team and we can sell. So I started that business, and then that evolved into a property maintenance business where I did landscaping and all these repair type things for townhome complexes and restaurants and surgical centers, and I grew that business. And I did that for almost 10 years. And then I realized, okay, I was 36 years old, but that I hadn't learned how to build a team around it yet. So I had learned the skills of marketing and sales and keeping clients happy and like the business stuff. So that I figured out in my phase 2 business. But I hadn't been able to, I was still doing too much myself.
Yeah, you
I think you
have
went
to
through
have
a
a
phase of
team.
this, right?
Oh gosh, you cannot do it without a good team.
Right. And
Cannot.
but the funny thing is because you and I, we talked about this, like you had this phase where you were marketing and sales and the chief cook and bottle washer and everything else. Me too. So I ended up closing that business not because it was successful and it was paying our bills, but it was wearing me out. So I had this moment at 36 years old, about the time you and I met, and I said, okay, enough. I'm going to do the corporate thing finally. I went back and got a master's degree, and And I did, and I got a great corporate job. And then about that time, it was about time you and I met. And then I met my business partner at Wewa Films. I was a school teacher at FSU too, because I love to teach. And I met Courtney, and long story short, we got to start a business. So at 45 years old, I co-founded a film company. Now, had I ever had a film company? No, of course not.
Did you even know how to do it, Funko?
I didn't know how to do film. I knew how to manage projects, and in my corporate job, I had been managing videos. I learned video production. But I met Courtney, and she's a genius, and so it's who we are. So at 45, I started a film company, and then a few years later, that evolved, and still have it. But we, at 48, started a film festival. Had I ever done a film festival? No. I'm like, why should we start a film festival, right? This is who we are. And I quit apologizing for it. And so I've done everything from childcare to a property maintenance business to a film festival. But that's the kind of people we are. But I've learned now how to tap into my instinct for building a team. And I've learned, I'll be interested in what you say about this in your phase of your career with Beachy Beach, is I have learned that my greatest skill is seeing potential in other people and telling them so. Say, here's what I see in you. And then putting them with somebody else who matches them. And I have learned that that's really probably what I'm best at, is that I can see. And I used to think people could see it themselves. And they can't. And when I would say to them, you're really great at this, and they go, really? I'm like, are you just being modest? You don't see what I see. And I realized, no, they don't see what I see.
No,
so when
that's
I
true.
tell them there's a power that is unleashed inside of people, they go, really? You see that? You see that? And I go, yeah, let me introduce you to this other person who also has this. And before long, things start to materialize.
Well, there's two things that you brought up there that I was thinking about. As far as team building and stuff, I am a huge, huge Zig Ziglar fan. So when I was 10 years of age in my crazy dysfunctional home, I sat on my bed and read Zig Ziglar and Emmett J. Fox, Norman Vincent Peale, all those things. And one thing that Zig Ziglar said that has always resonated to me, and I do it now, and it is, if you can have anything in life you want, if you help enough other people get what they want. And every now and then when I'm stuck and I think life isn't working, I go back to that and I remember, Karen, if you just help another get further up the hill, you'll get further up the hill yourself,
They will stand in line to help you get
Yeah,
up your
it's
hill.
amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And I believe that's one of my affirmations. One of my affirmations I write every day since 10 years of age. 10 years of age. I started writing them.
See, you are already
10
working
years
on
of
your
age.
happy ass.
Yeah, 10 years of age.
old. Yeah.
But number 4 on my list is all the right people always show up to help me. It's been so true in my life. And so you said how you see things in people. I remember when I first started Beachy Beach, Bill Smith, who was the owner of Pelican Real Estate, who at that time, they were like the cat's meow. And he came up to me one day when not too long after Beachy Beach started. And keep in mind, I didn't know what I was doing. Had zero, y'all, I literally knew nothing about being a broker, nothing about being a realtor, nothing about running. I'm talking zero. Had zero plan. I had zero business plan. And so he came up to me and he said, who does your marketing? And I said, I do. He said, dang, your marketing is great. And do you know that I never knew until this person said to me that I was good at that. I did not know.
The power of words. My undergraduate degree is in theology and philosophy. Don't ask why. It doesn't make any sense. There's no storyline here. It's just me randomly bouncing through things in life. But what it did, it was a very rigorous degree. And my dad was a minister. And so he's good with words. He's a professional public speaker. So I heard people speaking. And I was around this. And he was in the military. So I was around professional communicators all the time. Like really people who every week, at least once a week in my entire childhood, I heard professional speakers talking, right? And I didn't put that together until later, but so words have always been a very, resonated with me. And using words well and placing words on people at the right moment is seismic for these people.
It's life.
You can say a very simple, let me tell you what I see in you. And every human being responds to that, wants to know what you're about to say next. And if you can pull that out, tell them what you see. Let me tell you what I see in you. I have seen it, and you've experienced it. I've experienced it. It is life-changing. It is such a joyful power to have. And I think you and I, in our phases of kind of where we are, what a pleasure, like what a joy. We get to lead organizations where we can just walk around and go, let me lay this power on you and give this to you and see what you do with it. It's the best job on earth. It's the best thing in the world. I wish more people who want to lead and grow organizations could understand that. The power of telling people what you see in them is so underrated. It's one of my greatest joys of leading the organizations that I've helped to grow and build is, and I think you probably experienced this at Beach to Beach too. I know you do, because I've seen you do it, is walking up to somebody and saying, here's what I see in you, and giving that gift so that you've seen this in real time, they will change their whole view of who they are as a human being. Think about that.
You give them permission. You give them permission to be who they are maybe afraid to be.
They will say, I never saw that in myself. Or they say, I've secretly thought that, but I didn't believe it. But you saying it to me tells me I was right, that my instinct was right. But either way, You have just set a human being on a whole different trajectory in their life. And I mean, to me, I want to do that every day. Like, that's what I want to do every day.
That's what
and
we're
we've seen
for.
it happen with, like, Redfish has been this way. You and I were talking. Beachy Beach is this way. You see these organizations where people have an emotional attachment to being a part of that organization because it feeds them that way. And that's the kind of place I want to be a part of. That's the kind of thing I want to grow. And I know I've seen it with Beachy Beach. And I tried to tell you that as much as all the years.
I know, it made me so happy. And, you know,
Yeah.
when you're doing things, sometimes you're busy criticizing yourself rather than lifting yourself up. I try not to do that. I try not to get onto myself, because that's all a part of what my podcast is about, is uplifting and things like that. But sometimes it helps to hear it from someone else. It really does. And it also, like I said, it helps your people to hear it from somebody else. And I think for me, and it's even more so now, because now that I'm 65, and the reason I say that a lot is not to say, oh, I'm 65. I say it because I'm 65. You know, I'm so excited about this phase of my life, because how many more things I can do. And I want people my age, your age, to not say, I'm too old to do this, or my time has passed.
I missed my chance.
I missed my chance. Oh, bull malarkey. I am just, I'm put here to do that, you know. And My Happy Ass Life, my podcast, which has been going on now for 4.5 years, been in production with Ashley, 2.5 years. So we put it in more formats and things like that. And I live for this. I absolutely live for this. And you said a while ago, you said that you wish you were somebody else. You sometimes, you don't anymore, but there was times when you want to be like everybody else. And I have found myself every now and then going, you know what, Karen, you are 65. You could just kind of chill.
Sure.
You could just like go in the background. You could sell your company. You could stop doing
play golf
something.
every day.
Yeah, I could play golf every day. But that's not what I'm about. That's not, I mean, that stuff's fun, but I want to make a difference in the lives of others, and it just moves me. And I think that anytime we try to be who we're not created to be, it's such a friction that gives you not a happy life. And I don't know about you, but I want a joy-filled life and a happy life and a peaceful life. And you mentioned, I love that you mentioned this, and I thought about this the other day. Your wife, Kathy,
Yes.
is amazing. She's very much
she
like
is.
my precious husband, Hugh, was.
She is.
And so when I go to all these events and all these things, my husband hated those things. I mean, proud of me.
Yeah, supportive. They're just different.
Oh,
Yeah.
But he just hated those things. And
Yeah.
and I know your wife, I never see her at those things.
Nope.
But it doesn't mean she doesn't love you and want you to be the best you can be. But she's happy to stay at home and let you fly.
I knew Hugh, and Kathy is this way too. I try to tell people, and they don't believe me. I say, if you could understand what a big part of our life, people like us, what a big part of us being able to do the things that we do depends on them. So for people like you and me, who are high strung, and we're bouncing off.
What?
And we're like, our brains are running and we're running. So Kathy and I will have been married 25 years this November. But she knew me for 6 years before that. She's known me since I was 18. And so she knows me so well, and as a wife does, I can sit with Kathy and she can talk to like 18-year-old kid, right? It'll make me cry. Because I mean, you need that person who's like, all this is great and I love what you're building and I'm supporting you and all that, but I know 18-year-old Kevin, and I know how to cheat. There's a transparency and a balance that those people bring to us, because none of the things that were out there that we're building, maybe this is it, is that they're proud of us and they're supportive, but if all of that went away, because I knew you when you were 18, like now, before any of this, and so that there's something about that I've come to believe people like you and I need. It's not something that I know I need it. If I didn't have everything Kathy does for me, there's none of this happens.
Yeah. It's been hard. It's been
I bet it's been huge for you.
It's been real hard. In fact, My husband, you're talking about the power of words.
Yeah.
He told me every single day before I left the house to say, go about and do your angel work.
Okay.
And he always told me how adorable I was.
Yep.
It told me how precious I was. So this is how sweet my team is. So my assistant, every single day since my husband died, there is a sweet message to me in my email about me being adorable and go and do my angel work. So I get to see that message every single day, and that's so cool. So speaking of angel work and doing things, if I did not have sponsors for this, and and that was hard for me. That was super hard for me. But luckily for me, these people kind of came to me because they believed in what I was doing. And one of those is Kitty Stewart with the Dream Team powered by Edge.
Thank you,
and
Kitty.
she is so precious. She has got the kindest, sweetest heart, is the first one to volunteer for things. And she's wonderful at her job too. Imagine that. And they have over 130 plus different lending possibilities for people.
Wow.
So if it's somebody that's doing something unusual and a bank doesn't want to do it, because banks tend to want to do things kind of standard, and she can do it. So you can find out about her in the show notes. We'll have her number, how to contact her. And another one, and Brett got onto me on a podcast just recently because I made the statement that I wasn't good with money. I can't say that anymore because those are horrible words. I used to not be good with money, okay? So Brian Yormack with Bay Tax has an amazing company where they can come into organizations and teach them tax strategies. You still have your accountant, but Brian Yormack and his team, they're amazing. They came and did a cost seg on my building at Beachy Beach and saved me hundreds of thousands in tax dollars.
If you think you are smart enough to understand taxes, you are fooling yourself.
Oh,
you need
I have no clue. I'm clueless.
You need somebody who just thinks about that stuff all the time, every day.
Oh, and he does.
100%.
He's so smart. Yeah. So Brian Yormack, and he believed in what I was doing, so they wanted to sponsor the podcast. So without him, I couldn't be doing it. Could not be doing this. So, so one of the things I wanted to mention too that's kind of funny to me, and I loved it, and of course I jumped right on the bandwagon. We had just had the beautiful little celebration we had at the Martin Theater, which was so beautiful with everybody out there.
It was awesome.
It was so beautiful. And I had to just breeze in there real fast, take a couple pictures, and run out the door to get a kid to the event. But I wanted to at least be there and be a part of it. And you were an amazing part of it. But then right after that, I don't know if it was Jason Hedden that did this to us, but Jason Hedden took a really cool picture of you, and I think he must have put the birthday hat on.
It's Lou Columbus.
Oh, Lou! Oh my God,
everybody loves Lou. Lou took that. I was turning 50 years old, and I asked Lou, because I love his work, and so I asked Lou to come to my house and do a very creative photo shoot.
Yeah, I saw them, but they were beautiful.
Because of Lou, right? Mm-hmm. So they, but that was a Lou Columbus photo that then Jason doctored for my birthday.
Oh, he doctored it with a hat, right?
Put the hat on it, right?
So y'all, this is what happened. So Jason Hedden sends out a message. I don't even know how to do this stuff. Sends out a message to all of us and says, "Hey, listen, it's Kevin's 50th birthday. Why don't we all put Kevin's picture that Lou had done, get with your hat on as your profile picture." So the funny part, it's not funny, but how usually people do that when somebody dies or something, or something tragic is happening. Well, I know a lot of people go, "Oh, poor Kevin, I really love Kevin. He was such a good guy. I hate he's gone." But no, so we all put, a bunch of us did, your picture as our profile picture to honor you, to say how much we love you. How did that make you feel? How did that make you feel?
I'm going to tell you, but now I'm a little offended because, Kathy got no condolence texts at all. Nobody's like, "Kathy, oh my gosh, what happened to Kevin?" Nobody asked. So maybe it's not as great as I thought. Two things. I woke up that day and I scrolled Facebook like we all do. And I thought Facebook had a glitch in it because I just kept scrolling. And I kept seeing over and over, what is going on? And then it hit me what was going on. And it was so touching. I just couldn't get over it. I was like, holy cow, people, this gesture.
Yeah.
It was wonderful because, again, you and I are the type of folks who grow and build organizations, and you get very head down working all the time in that. And it was such a lovely, and you and I also talk a lot about pouring ourselves into other people, like building them up. We do that at Redfish. I know you do this at Beachy Beach. And so sometimes, I don't know, you just get in this mode where it doesn't dawn on you that somebody would want to say that back to you. And when I saw that, it was just that gesture that I went, wow, people took time out of their day and it was a gag, and it was funny, and it was
so much fun.
It was so much fun.
It
was so touching.
Yeah.
To me, and that, I don't know, I had never had anything quite like that happen. So it was
one thing I know too that I've noticed, and it's been really cool, and I know just because I know several of the people that are working in your organization, that's why it's so important to create something that people want to be a part of. Yeah. And a lot of your mentoring and a lot of your teaching, team building, yes, you do it out for other people, and that's important. But you know what? We always say charity begins at home. Right. You kind of have to do that in your home too. You've got to do it in your business home, in your Redfish home, and I know people that have joined your organization just because they want to be a part of it.
As you and I move through life, and I don't know if you were this way or not, when I was very young, I just wanted to be in business. Just be in business. Now, I want to grow businesses that I really want to be a part of. So Beachy Beach is a great example, because like if you meet you and you see Beachy Beach and you go, that woman made that business. That's a reflection of who you are. And so I'm in that phase now with Wewa Films, and certainly with Redfish as we grow, it's a combination of this ability that you and I have. I mean, it's just that we see potential in other people and tell them that, give that back to them. What that does though is it attracts the people you need to grow the kind of business that's a reflection of who you are.
You don't have to try to do it.
You don't have to try to do it. So my favorite example is our PR director, who's sitting behind the camera, who's Brittany, is that I didn't even know Brittany that well. She's a perfect case, and this has happened, by the way, this happened a bunch of times since. The organization has grown itself in front of us. Brittany, I didn't know her very well at all, and she approached me. And if you know Brittany, this is a very Brittany thing to do. She said, hey, I see what you are doing, and I love what you're doing, and I want to be a part of it. And that was touching. I'm like, oh my gosh, how do you know? But then as I got to know her, and her intelligence and her skill and her passion and her heart for the thing we were trying to build, all of a sudden you start seeing reflections of what you were hoping and dreaming would happen.
You didn't even know how to articulate.
And they somehow picked it up. And so I want to work hard, and I want to be a part of what you're doing. And so I have a partner in Redfish too, by the way, who lives in LA, and she's exactly the same way. And she calls it Good People Club. She said, Kevin, let's build a Good People Club. And so she and I talk a lot about that. And so Lex is a very different complement to me too. And I hope everybody will get to meet Lex here soon enough, because she'll be at the festival, but she lives in LA. So she and I are growing this together. This is not all a me thing, because this is all about other people. So Lex is my partner in this. As she and I talk about this, if we are crystal clear with the heart we have and the values we have and the kind of work and creative we want to do and the kind of things we want to unlock in people and elevate the creatives of our town, this entire organization is literally dedicated to unlocking the creatives in our town. And so it has done that. The festival did that. And then they started lining up and coming to us and going, I want to be a part of Redfish. And we go, I don't know exactly what you'll do. And they go, I don't care. I want to be a part of it. It's been one of the great joys of my life, watching that happen. And then people start coming to us and saying, here's what I would like to do with your organization. And then the fun part, Lex and I then we have all this amazing pool of a wonderful human beings and energy and love, and they know what we're after, and they want to be a part of it. So then we can just sort of, okay, well, like when Brittany came on board, technically she's our PR director, but she's so much more. But she said, what's my job description? And so I don't know where this came from, but in my mind, immediately it popped out, be up to something.
Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh. Listen,
But if you know Brittany, you're like,
she is definitely up to
it's
something.
the perfect, so what I mean
Perfect.
is, it's this wonderful thing where we see something in somebody, we unleash that, and then they come pouring right back on us. It's such a validating thing, because when she said, what's my job description? I said, I don't know, be up to something all the time. She went, I can totally do that. It made such perfect sense for her, and she's been up to something ever since. And we've had that happen over and over and over again with our group. And so this thing has materialized out of thin air. It's the most wonderful thing that's happened. And Beachy Beach is very similar.
You know what I love that you said, and it's so cool, and that's what this whole podcast is about. I tell people all the time I want us to grow in mind, body, and spirit so we can in turn, and we can make the world brighter and sweeter for ourselves and for others. And the thing that's so cool, I love, when we do this, we give other people the courage to also do this. You know,
Permission is a powerful thing, isn't it?
It's so amazing.
We're so taught to not do, like when somebody just says, yeah, listen, you have permission just to go and do,
And I think a lot of times you have to, I hate to say this, sometimes things have to be destroyed so they can also be recreated. And it's kind of ironic, we haven't even spoken about it yet, but you and I are sitting here together. And of course, this podcast is going to come out later, but we're talking today on the
October 10th.
anniversary of Hurricane Michael.
Today is October 10th.
And yes, while it was tragic, while it was trauma, it was so many things. But what I've noticed about the human spirit and about anything in the world, if you could take something that's really meant for harm, and you can either buckle under it, you can, if you want to, or you can say, how do I take what has happened to me and recreate, and nothing, oh my gosh, downtown, baby.
And listen, Beachy Beach just hit the neighborhood, so it's
Oh
about
my
to get
gosh.
crazy down there.
I would like right now for that. Remember that song by, is it Petula Clark? Downtown?
Downtown.
Oh my God, I love that song. I used to listen to that song in the grocery store with my mama
Let's
with
go
our matching
downtown.
outfits.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I want that song
Did
to
you
be
have
singing.
the high white boots?
Oh yeah, baby, we were so cute.
Yeah.
So, but I think that I'm really proud of my community. I'm so proud because when Hurricane Michael happened, what I saw was we didn't wait for the government was fine. Don't get me wrong. I'm not an anti-government person at all, so don't hear that. I'm a pro-people person. I'm a pro-people helping people, you know, the grassroots. And when Hurricane Michael happened, I know that we shut my business down. We shut my business down, and I said, everybody go grab you a tarp and a hammer and a saw and go help people. So for several weeks, we helped people. We opened up our office because one of my offices wasn't hurt, and all kinds of businesses came and worked in my office. The people what are the ukulele people?
The ukulele orchestra of St. Andrews? You mean?
No, those darling girls that used the Wabasabis.
Oh, the Wabi-Sabi.
Yeah. Some of them came, and then there's some appraisers came and worked in my office, and it was so much fun. But the thing that I noticed about our community was everyone pitched in to help each other. And it looked like a war zone. So the hope that I can give anyone that's going through a horrible time, whether it be personal, whether it be a storm, if you hang on and hang on to each other and believe in the possibility of things actually being better than they were, it can happen. We're seeing it in our own community. It's amazing.
I know the theme of your podcast is, sort of health and happiness and mind, body, and spirit. And I tell you what, living through that, having lived through all that stuff, and us growing our organizations and being part of all this stuff is community is such an overused word, but when you understand, when it finally sinks into you, that the only way you're gonna feel good about your own life is if you plug yourself into the lives of other people. It doesn't have to be a big group. Your little, like downtown's, Panama City's not that big. It doesn't have to be that big. But plugging into them and investing in yourself, I tell people after, Hurricane Michael, if anybody knew about it, you know what it was like. In my neighborhood, that storm, I'm telling you, it wasn't gone 20 minutes and you heard chainsaws cranking.
Oh yeah. Everybody
People were
jumped in to
going
help each other.
Everybody's jumping in to help.
Yeah.
And tractors and people were moving stuff. It was the most wonderful thing to happen in such a terrible tragedy. But our town is stronger for it. I wish people could understand what it's like, or how lucky we feel when you give back to a group of people, and then they all of a sudden they put your picture on a Facebook. Right? It's a lovely reciprocal thing.
It's so sweet.
It's the best life to live.
Yeah.
It's
And I love it. I'm so excited about downtown because, it reminds me of being a little girl and going downtown and,
It's a village.
and it's such a cool thing. And we're so excited to be there. So happy that we're down there now too. But I think for me, with living in this area, we've gone through a lot of storms. Of course, Hurricane Michael was the worst of the worst,
Sure.
and people didn't even know what to do. But it really has brought out the best in us.
Mm-hmm.
It's I think the artist community was born of it, and so many things were born out of the devastation. Because sometimes, I hate to say it, but that's just kind of how nature works. Nature sometimes has to.
It does. So
be destroyed to be recreated.
We've always had amazing arts folks in Panama City, and because I've lived there almost 40 years, and so it was always there. But I think it comes back to a word when it exploded, like everybody sees it, became more public. Is this word permission that you and I keep talking about? So Alan Branch has the best analogy I've heard for this, what Hurricane Michael did. He said it's like a community heart attack. We all had a heart attack at the same time. What do you do when you survive a heart attack? First thing you go, okay, I didn't die. Second thing is, I almost died. Third thing is you start changing things about your life, because now you have permission to not wait any longer, because
you almost lost it.
I almost lost it.
Yeah.
That's what happened. And so we are giving each other permission to just go for it. Go for it. Because we had a heart attack and we almost died, and we didn't die.
Be up to something.
Always be up to something. Could have the best job description there.
I love it. Yeah. I love it. Well, my job's, I'm a happy ass, and it's funny, sometimes people say to me, why is your show called My Happy Ass Life? Don't you want to use a different word? Because there's some places that won't even let me advertise.
Sure.
Because it says ass in it, for pity's sakes.
Yeah.
But I can't think of anything that's more authentic. So I've got to keep that. You know what I mean? So, how I determined who was going to be on the podcast during the first season. And those of you that aren't on the first season, doesn't mean I don't love you. Don't get that. But I really wanted to zero in on the people who had really impacted my life. You have really impacted my life. You made me feel better about who I was, because even though I've done what I've done, I've done really well with my business, I still every now and then have doubt about who I am. Am I doing the best I can do? So when people speak life into me, so that's the kind of people I want on here. I want people like you, and of course my precious Jim Berg, and I just wanted people that had fed me. Wow. And I felt like you could feed others. So that's the kind of people that are on here, and that's why you're here.
Wow.
And I've been scared about doing this. I've been terrified about changing my format. But I want people to hear, and hear through you, hear through me, this is what you need to hear. You don't have to know what you're doing to get started.
They need to hear that you're scared.
Yeah.
And that you did it anyway.
Oh, absolutely.
Because
absolutely.
If you're waiting for the day to start something that you've always wanted to do, if you're waiting for the day when you wake up and you're like, I got this, pack it in. It doesn't go like that. You move forward, you put out what you think you want in the universe, you look around for those who join you, and you move forward a little bit every day, and you're scared the whole time.
All the time.
So the whole time. So I don't know. Are we motivating people right now? I don't know. You're going to do this.
Yay!
You're going to be.
Join us and be scared the rest
Look,
of your life.
One of these themes is finding your community and building your community. It's why you need them, because there's going to be days where I'm like, this is none of this is going to work, and I need Lex and I need Brittany and I need these other people to go, stop it. It's going to be like, I'm here telling you this is going to be fine. And they're going to have their day where they need me to come. Hey, now we're together. That's the only way to get through this, because it's scary to build something special.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
And I know I'm supposed to be ending this up, and we've talked forever, but it's kind of hard to stop when I'm talking with people I love. But one thing that that's been happening for me is I know that I was put here to do what I'm doing. I know that my happy ass life, motivating, teaching, writing books, speaking to people. But I'm terrified every time I speak. Terrified. And you make it look so easy. I mean, you make it look so freaking easy, and that really makes me mad. But, and Brittany doesn't know this, but Brittany helped me, because Brittany heard me speaking somewhere, or heard me talking, and then invited me to speak to something. And so I always say yes, but then I'm terrified afterwards, and I always think I'm not going to be good enough. Yeah. So I won't volunteer to speak, but when people ask me to speak, because it's hard for me to say no, I will speak, which is, my whole point of this is that I'm terrified to do it, even though I know that inside my soul, God has put me here to do it. And I think watching you, of course, Brittany being sweet to me, and having my precious Ashley, I'm just surrounded by amazing people, because I still don't know what I'm doing. I really don't. So if I can give you a word of encouragement, if you just have joy in your heart, and you love others, and you want to make the world a brighter and sweeter place to live, just start doing it, and people will come
they will
and
stand
help
in
you.
line. People are so hungry to feel good, and to feel validated, and to feel confident, and to feel loved, and seen and appreciated. If you will walk around giving that to people, they will stand in line to help you build whatever you want to build. I think Dennis Prager or somebody, I heard him say this one time. He said, making people happy is a moral imperative.
Ooh.
And here's why. He said, because happy people don't beat their wives. And happy people don't cheat on their taxes.
No.
And happy people, in other words, the more people you can make happy and fulfilled and meaningful, everything gets better. Not just their life. Everything gets better it gets better for their kids who are now raised. It is such a power to find a community and to unleash that in people. And I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to think of it like that. Like it's a moral imperative. Like it's what you walking around making people happy like you do, making them feel special is not just a nice to have. We have got to have that in the world.
So we're almost at time's up, but you heard what he said. Basically, paraphrasing, he said that everybody should watch My Happy Ass Life.
100%.
That's what you said.
And by the way, I want to caveat this, because I don't want to put pressure on people. Like we are, none of us are happy all the time, and happiness comes and goes. That's not what I mean. So in other words, if you're not happy all the time, somehow you're failing your life.
Yeah.
No. What I mean is helping people feel special and elevated and loved. Not only is a good human thing to do, it is the very best business advice I could offer to anybody.
It's wonderful.
I can't get over, and I know you can't, because you and I have talked about this. Well, you just mentioned all these sweet people around me. How'd you guys get here? Right? they kicked the door in.
I have determined that we're going to have a part 2.
Do it.
I mean, I think we've gone on for about an hour. But like you said, Joe Rogan it's like 3 hours, right?
Yeah.
So, whatever. But so we're gonna have a part 2. Will you come back for part 2?
Anytime.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before you go, I want to say, first of all, thank you for pouring into my life. Thank you for being a kind person. I love that you're a gentleman. I love that you're a good husband. Being a good business person is all that, but if you're not a good husband and a good family man and all that stuff, then that's probably, I don't want to really be around you, because that's real important to me. Who you are everywhere is important to me. Like I remember one time somebody asked John Maxwell to talk about business integrity. He said, I can't do business ethics. He said, I can't do that because you can't separate the two.
Right.
Just like with humans, how I am in my business should be exactly how I show up in life. I should show up a beautiful human. I love that you said the Good People Club. I love that. So I want to ask you a question that I ask everybody before I go. It is my happy ass life, and sometimes life gives you some hard things like Hurricane Michael. I had COVID real bad. So how do you find your happy in the hard? What are your go-to things that you do to nourish your soul when times are tough?
I tell you what, my answer has evolved over time, but my answer right now, and again, I thought a lot about this kind of thing. It's coming up on, when I was approaching 50 years old. It's arbitrary, but it's also a meaningful age, right? I go, Kevin, when are you happiest? When do you feel the best? When do you feel most like yourself? When do you feel like you're living the life you want to live? And to me, there is a deep correlation between meaningfulness, and happiness. And I heard, I've forgotten the guy's name, but he said, happiness is forward motion toward a meaningful goal. And because you don't always feel happy every minute, but you can know your life is pointed at something with meaning, something that means something to you. And so as I get older and more, that's my barometer. Because I know if I find the meaning, then the happiness will come. So even in the middle of all the bad stuff, if I know like I'm headed towards something meaningful to me, and with people who are meaningful to me, then by definition, I will feel my best. And so I try to do that more and more all the time.
Thank you, Kevin, so much.
Thank
This
you.
has been so enjoyable. And I'm so thankful I get to do this because this is so rewarding to me. It seems almost not fair that this is what I love to do and I get to get so much from it. And I know that other people did too. So you've already promised me you'll come back for part 2 and season 2. So yeah. So thank y'all so much for being here with us today. I have just loved this time with you. I've loved this time with Kevin. I'm grateful for my community that has blessed us so much. And let's remember to continue to bless each other and create value in the lives of others. And y'all know what I'm going to say to you. Be sweet, y'all. Bye.